Hey guys, today I'm going to be working on a Campbell Hausfeld pressure washer. It's got a little 3 horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine, or 3.5, I'm not really sure. But these are pretty common, and this video probably won't be for everybody, but if you've got one of these little pressure washers or a push mower engine, they'll have the same thing, usually. So what this thing was doing, I picked this up over at the flea market, and it did run, but it was kind of flooding out and blowing black smoke, so you could tell it was carburetor issues. The carburetor is one of those pump prime carburetors, so it doesn't have a choke that could be stuck closed. So I'm going to go ahead and put a diaphragm in it, and it's really easy to do. This front bolt here, the small one, it takes a 3/8 socket. And then there's another one over to the side, a longer bolt, and that'll take a 1/2 inch socket. Or you can use a 13 millimeter, you know. Right up in there. Real easy to get to. And this is probably one of the simplest jobs you'll come across when you work on a push mower or one of these vertical shaft pressure washers. And most of the times, you know, you'll find these little carburetors now are plastic. So, you know, there's really no way corrosion can mess them up. So 9 times out of 10, if it's flooding or it won't start, you got a diaphragm problem. Get this pressure wand out of the way so I can get this carb out of here. Just kind of wiggling back and forth after you get those 2 bolts out. There. Now we got one piece of linkage. Goes down there. It's got a Z-bend. Fits down into the throttle shaft linkage. Right there. There's only one hole, so that's going to be hard to mess up. Really simple. I've got this thing inside. And looks like this one has 5 retaining screws to hold the carburetor down to the tank. And I checked this tank out, and it's like new. I mean, it's really clean inside. So I think this thing has been pretty much well taken care of. Seemed like a nice guy that I bought it from. And, you know, he didn't try to hide anything. He said, yeah, well, it runs, but it does have a few issues. So yeah, I went ahead and loosened those up off camera because you guys don't need to see me loosen all 5 of these retaining screws up. And once you get those loose, it should just slide right up. You may have to tilt it a little bit to get that pickup tube out of the tank, but I'll leave those screws in there, and they'll pretty much keep the diaphragm and the gasket in place. And yeah, that diaphragm is in bad shape. It's really stretched out bad. But yeah, here's what I was talking about with these carburetors. They're basically plastic. And this one is clean. Man, it's clean. Clean as a whistle in there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy didn't use any alcohol, or excuse me, ethanol fuel or anything in it. There's no signs of white corrosion or anything like that, any deposits. So, looks like it's been well maintained and took care of. So what I'll do, even though that screen is perfectly clean looking, I mean, the pickup screen, everything, I'll just go ahead and squirt a little carb cleaner down through there just to verify everything is open and all the passages are working. And if there is any little trash that I can't see or that I've missed, you know, I'll catch it. Just got to be careful. There's a little O-ring over there. You don't want to knock that out. But yeah, you want to kind of be careful around your rubber parts when you're using carb spray. Some of the carb sprays will cause rubber to swell. And actually it comes in handy sometimes. If you've got something that's like some rubber that's got some age and has gotten hard and stuff, you can squirt it with some carb spray and it'll soften it up a little bit. Although it will also cause it to swell. So that could be a problem with O-rings. Like this one in the front here. Yeah. But that's okay. I just wiped it off, and it might swell up a little bit, but before I put this carb on, I'll probably just do it off camera. I'll stick a little grease on it. Now here's the part number 7-07060. That's a prime line gasket and diaphragm for this. And these fit like from a 3 horse to a 4.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton. Replaces Briggs and Stratton 495770 part number. Yep. And I picked this up over at O'Reilly's. They had them in stock. I was just going to order it off Amazon, but I thought, well, you know, why wait 2 or 3 days when I can just go ahead and pick one up now? And, you know, I always set my stuff aside, you know, compare the old gasket to the new gasket, make sure all your holes line up. And, you know, usually these parts guys are pretty good, but sometimes, you know, you might get a diaphragm that won't exactly be right for your carburetor. And if it has an extra hole or something somewhere, you know, depending on where it's at, that may be a problem. Then again, it may not, because they make these to fit a lot of different carburetors. Now, I'm going to go ahead and dry that up a little bit. I've got it clean. Should be pretty dry. And when you put these on, the diaphragm goes first. It goes against the carburetor, the rubber diaphragm. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm getting it off camera. I've got it off camera here a little bit. I'm just trying to match it up so I don't stick it on backwards or upside down or something. Get in there. There we go. And these diaphragms are really flimsy, and so it's kind of aggravating to get them situated. But, you know, once you get it in there, and look, the corner's folding down on me. Once you get it in there and put the base gasket on there, the gasket is a little thicker. So the diaphragm goes to the carburetor, and then your base gasket will go between the tank and the diaphragm. And once you get all these holes lined up, what I like to do, if I can ever get them lined up, that is. What's going on here? Yeah, there it is. The corner fell down inside. There we go. Yeah, sometimes the corners of those little rubber diaphragms will fall down in there and make it extra fun for you to line the holes up. But once I get those lined up, I'm just going to start these retaining screws, and that'll keep the gasket and the diaphragm in place while you put it on the tank. And a lot of, you know, some guys does it differently. It's just the way I do it. You know, if you want to put yours on the tank and then set the carburetor on, that, you know, that's good. Whatever works best for you. And again, you know, this applies to any application that uses like the 3 to the 4.5 horse vertical shaft engine, which is on a lot of the push lawn mowers. They'll have this little plastic carb. And although, you know, I'm not really crazy about plastic stuff, these are actually really good. You'll have hardly any trouble out of these things normally. And when you do have an issue, it's 99.9% of the time it's going to be with this little rubber diaphragm pump, because it's a pump carburetor. It pumps fuel from the tank up until a real reservoir there on the tank, and then it pulls that fuel into the engine so it can run. And yep, just turn it sideways a little bit and drop your pickup tube back down in the tank. And these little screws, they start pretty easy. They've got like a blank spot on the end of it, so it can start in the hole before you ever start threading anything. That helps you start it straighter too. Those guys at Briggs were pretty smart every now and then. And you just want to run these up. Now you've got all the diaphragms in place, the base gaskets in place, and we're just going to run these up, you know, just hand tight. Later on, when we start tightening everything down, I'll try to move this over here and get so my hand's not in the way. Sorry, guys. But once we start really getting serious about snugging these down, then I'll start, you know, going cross. I'll tighten one down, then tighten the one across from it and stuff. That way everything squishes down kind of flat, but I don't think it matters that much really. But once you get into a habit of doing things a certain way, it's hard to get out of that habit, so I usually stick to it. And again, there's only 5 of these screws. And we'll start going around them. Crisscross. Get in there. And my little air cleaner gasket, we want to make sure that's in place. Little stuff like that is really important. If you forget that, you'll get dust in your engine. It'll wear it out faster than you think it would. All right, we're back outside. Let's see if I can't get this thing on here. Okay, start the Z-bend in the one hole on the throttle linkage there. Easy. Oh, wait a minute. It's kind of stuck on the governor shaft. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Now it's going in good. And just kind of wiggle it. Put the carb back on the intake tube there and kind of wiggle him on. Push him in place. This one went in pretty easy. I smeared a little grease there off camera onto the rubber O-ring that seals that. That helps install a little bit. Put my 1/2-inch socket bolt, and then this is the bolt, the 1/4-inch bolt. It's got a 3/8 head on it. So 3/8 socket or 3/8 wrench, whichever. This other one, you can use a 1/2-inch or a 13 millimeter. And that's really all that holds this carburetor on. It's just the 2 little retaining bolts, and that's it. This is a really simple job. You couldn't. Oh, look what I've done. I have left the valve cover breather off. Let's put that little rubber grommet back on. Yeah, get the grass out of it there. Okay. Yeah, and that just slides on the neck of the carburetor, and there's a breather tube that goes to the valve cover. Make sure I mount this on properly. There we go. And I will end up putting a new air filter on this. I just don't have any handy. But, I picked up the gasket and diaphragm over at my local O'Reilly's. I was going to purchase it on Amazon, but I thought, well, heck, man, I got them. They're like $4 down the street, so, okay, that's fine by me. Oh, that was too easy. Yeah, we got to prime it a little bit. I know some of you guys are saying, wait a minute, you don't have any water hooked up to it. Well, I did before when I was checking it out, so those seals are not dry. And I'm just going to run it for just a second to verify that it is going to run okay. And then shut her back off. And that's it. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you ever fool one of these little Campbell Hausfelds or a Briggs and Stratton push mower, that's the way to fix a carb. We'll see you next time.